Hello my friend. So in this video we will be talking about the compilation of a Qt 6.4 on Windows. I wanted to make this video since a good week now, but didn't get a chance to do it before. But anyway, let's get back to this and try to explain and give you an overview of how I'm doing this compilation myself. So hopefully this could be useful to someone. So, one of the nice features that we have in the NervProj framework, so you see we are here in NervProj, is this support for compilation of, well, somewhat large libraries, C++ libraries mainly for now. And to support that, I have created a dedicated component. So we have that in the MVP folder here. Where is that? Core, I guess. The build manager, yes. So the build manager here is a component that is managing a lot of builders. So the builders are defined here. And those builders, as you can see here, we have one per library that I want to support compilation for. And so the main focus we will take today will be on the Qt6 library here. But this build manager supports, for instance, compilation for LLVM, well, Boost, not so big libraries so far. Lua GIT maybe. Okay. So where should I start? The builder that we have for Qt6 here is going to proceed differently whether you're compiling on Windows or on Linux. I only have support for those two platforms currently, and actually for Qt6 I only have support for Windows currently. Didn't implement the Linux compilation part for the moment. So we have this build on Windows function here, and the other function will be the build on Linux, but this one you see is not doing anything. When building on Windows, technically in the MVP framework, we have support for both the Microsoft Visual Studio compiler, so MSVC, and also the CLang compiler. So you can specify when you want to build a library, if you want to build it with MSVC or with CLang. Problem is, well, concerning Qt6, I've been trying quite a lot of different things. And the result of that is it's working fine if you use the MSVC compiler, but I still have a problem with the CLang compiler to build the web engine module. This one is a giant module. It depends on Chromium. And actually, yeah, I have a problem with when trying to compile one of the Chromium dependency with CLang. So you see here, in fact, at the beginning, we'll get back to this, but yeah, we'll set up some repository, some folders, and then I currently, if we are trying to compile with CLang, I'm just displaying an error message because it's not working in the end, not completely yet this week. It could work if we disable the web engine module. So technically, just here, I didn't even try that because I really want to have this web engine, but if we could do just that, I guess that's Qt web engine like that. So disabling this should work because that, I think that's the only module left that is not compiling currently. In fact, you see here that I have already disabled a few of them. So Qt doc, Qt language server, and so on. Those are not compiling for reasons that I cannot really fix easily myself. So I've been trying to disable this, but still, as I said, web engine not compiling either. So if someone wants to investigate this further, that would be the starting point. You need to remove this and try the compilation again and see what you can do. in fact, concerning those experiments on Clang, first, this is a case where we're using Clang compiler, so I've been trying a few different things, but the other case is when you use the MSVC compiler. In that case, the command line that you specify is pretty simple, and you don't have to ignore anything. Just maybe worth mentioning that if we try to compile with C++20 standard, then it's not going to work because of some error on the coroutine header files that are used in Qt connectivity and Qt speech. So I decided, I don't really need C++20, and I'll rather keep all the modules if possible. So not activating this flag here, and in that case, all the modules are building successfully. What else? So it starts with a configuration step. So you have to write all your command line parameters in a config up in file. So you then execute the first cmake command here. That's this main cmake module here that will output your config.opt file from the in file. And after that, actually the setup is a bit more complex if you want the support for web engine, for Qt web engine, because to get that you need a Python environment with this HTML5 library package. So what I'm doing is I'm creating a dedicated environment, a temporary environment. We also have that support for that in the NDP framework, so we can create as many Python environment as we want. It's going to store that in local folder, in fact. So we have that just here. So here are all the repositories that I'm creating, and in fact this one is still here. Yeah, because I was trying compilation with a Clang again, so it was created, but then the compilation failed, so it was not destroyed in the end. Anyway, so we have this Python environment, and then we also need a Node.js environment. Again, Node.js is only really required to compile the web engine part, but we have support for that in the MVP, so you can request the setup of a Node.js environment. And I think if we check the build folder, so the libraries that when we're building the libraries, they'll build locally here in libraries build. Yes, except that for the case of Qt is something a bit different. So we get back to this. So it's setting up Node.js environment, and then you also need a few additional tools. So Perl, gperf, Bison, and Flex. These again are tools that will be retrieved directly by the NDP framework. So we have that defined in the configuration file, in fact. So these are the libraries that you want to support building for. And then we have here, Linux tools are not up to date yet because I didn't try the compilation on Linux, but for the Windows tools, we have additional tools here. So Perl, gperf, Bison, Flex, and this will be retrieved as standardized packages that are providing directly on the public repository here that I have. So those tools, you could also retrieve them from somewhere else, wherever you want. And so those tools are provided for Qt6. Okay, why do I have to save the file? Did I change anything in the file? No, I didn't. Okay. And once you have all the folders for those tools, you can set up additional path to find them in your environment, and that's where we then can then we have all the patching part. Yes. One thing that I have added, but it's probably not really needed, I've noticed that you cannot do the optimize full, use the optimize full flag when you're combining with MSVC. So I thought, okay, let's go and just add that myself. So I'm patching one of those CMake file to provide support to specify this command line argument. And then in fact, that's why I'm using optimize full here on the MSVC path. Thing is, yeah, I think if we check this file, for instance, yes, except I don't have that file yet here. Let me just prepare the build folder for Qt and I get back to you. In fact, I was thinking to prepare the build folder, I can just demonstrate here how you could use the build component. So we can do nvp build libs, that's Qt6, and we don't really want to build, we just want to preview the sources. So we just type preview, and that should do the trick. So how this is working, it's pretty automatic actually. You just basically need to configure NVP, so your configuration file here. I think you should still indicate, yes, you need to have Visual Studio installed. So I have Visual Studio 2022 Community Edition and 2017, but yeah, I'm using this one by default. It would, the first one available will be the one used. So in this path list, you should specify where you have Visual Studio installed, and then it's going to find automatically what is your version of MSVC. And when you request the compilation of Qt6, for instance, so we have the list of libraries here. So Qt6 is defined here, and it's you will need the sources, obviously. So if you don't have this zip file available already, because as you can see for me, it was already downloaded, so it's in the build, and we have Qt everywhere here. If you don't have that, it will download that file automatically, and then it would start the extraction. That what is happening right now. It's extracting this source file, and this will prepare a build source folder. So let's just wait a little bit for this to finish. What can I mention meanwhile? Yeah, Qt is a bit, okay, extraction is finished, but Qt is a bit of a different case, in fact, because as I was trying to do the compilation, where we are, so in fact, we are in the project, NervProj, libraries, build, and then Qt6 here. If I try that as is in this location, it's not going to work on Windows. Why that? Because I guess I don't have a copy of this here. I mean, I think, yeah, I mentioned that in the comment here. If you try that, you have on Windows a limitation on the length of the file path that you can have. I think it's like 255 characters. Not quite sure. I guess we can get an idea maybe with the error that we have. File not found here, for instance. It's just trying to write this. You see, just try to write this file, and when you try it, so the full file name is 285. So this file name is too long, so it's not going to be able to store that on the file system, to write it, to read it, or anything. So what I'm doing in the case of Qt, I have a specific hack here where we start in this folder, so that's how we're starting build folder location, and we will move this folder completely just in, as I said, I use the first layer that we have here, so this disk, and I just put everything in the Qt. So that's reducing a bit the length of the file paths. And this way it's working. You can build the web engine part. Again, you really only have this problem when you are trying to build the web engine, because that's where you have those giant file names, and everywhere else it should work just fine if you stay in the build folder. Anyway, so when we start here, we have this previous build folder, which is our current build folder, but then we try to replace that, taking just the disk later, and just adding Qt, and then we do the move here, renaming, and then we build from there. Anyway, so the extraction is finished, and I wanted to show you, yes, the optimize full hack. So I added support for that when using MSVC with the patch that we are applying here, except that if you check this file, so qt-base cmake compiler optimization, so we have that here, qt-base cmake qt compiler, where are you, compiler optimization, yeah. So in case we are using GCC or CLang, then I think, yeah, this optimize full will be defined to all three. But in case we are using MSVC instead, I don't really think that it's going to be used anywhere. So that's probably not really useful to have this defined. But I thought, okay, let's try to add it anyway, because I'm not quite sure, maybe it's used somewhere else and with a different configuration system. So yeah, I'm just keeping that here. So that was the first patch, sorry, that I have applied. Just adding this entry, but then when I was trying to work on the CLang version, I had to introduce a few additional patches. So yeah, this was because of the zlib. I'm not quite sure what was the problem exactly. I think, yeah, it's trying to link to zlib, but where was the issue? I don't remember. I think it's still in web engine, and I'm not even sure it's really needed in the end anyway. But never mind. Then yeah, there's another tool called qdoc, which was not compiling. I'm not sure with, I think it's this one is in Qt tools. So Qt tools, do we have that? Sources, yeah, qdoc here. This was not compiling. I didn't really want to spend too much time trying to investigate what is exactly the error and how I could patch the sources or something like that. So I was just ignoring that tool, thinking, okay, maybe I will not even use it anyway. Same thing for lupdate in linguist, was not compiling, so I just removed that. Then yeah, the linker that was used by default, LLVM compiler will try to use LDD link. This was completely confused because you have some specific MSVC flags, MSVC linker flags in the command line, so it's not working. So I had to enforce using just link directly, and this was an easy way to enforce that on GN directly. And then yeah, then with that we can start building, preparing the cmake configuration command, executing that cmake configuration, and then we get to the build part and the installation part. But as I said, on CLang, with CLang, nope, not working. So for now, the only option we have is to compile with MSVC. And anyway, when we do that, once it's completed at the end, we will also remove the Python environment, the Qt6 environment, and the Node.js environment itself. It's going to be added directly in the build location here. So it will be removed when this full build folder is removed. So we don't really need to destroy it manually here. When the compilation is done, then I can show you what is the result. So this is here. So that's the location where I store all the libraries that was able to successfully build. So if we go in project, NervProj, in libraries. So once it's built for Windows with MSVC, it's going to be installed in this location. So we will have here Qt6, and we have all the binaries with the DLL files, and we also have web engine. Where are you, web engine? Pretty obvious, this one. So everything is installed here and can be used then for additional development. And also the build process itself will create this package from the installed folder. And this package, I'm then actually also storing that directly on my public repository here. So we should have Qt. Oh, I didn't. No, I did. This one. That's the latest version here. So the first other version here were simple tests with not everything activated. So not needed. And in fact, once we have that, for instance, if I were to delete this and also delete completely the installation folder, then I can still request the build of that library. I don't want to preview. And to build the library, the command is simply this one. So nvp build libs qt6. But the system will in fact now check if it was already built and if we have this package available on my public repository, because it's going to use I think I have that here. Yeah, the package URL here. And yeah, trying to prioritize. I'm not quite sure what this prioritize thing is doing anymore. Anyway, but in this case, in fact, it's not going to rebuild anything. It's just going to download the package. Oh yeah, except that I'm not in the appropriate gateway, so no, that's too long. Give me a sec. I'm changing the gateway. Okay. So now we try that again. Bit faster. So it just downloaded this precompiled package and now just extracting that package at the same location as just before. So we have that package here and it's currently extracting that folder. And yeah, this is it basically for compilation of Qt. Maybe a few words on the available flags when building. So from the build manager, we have this nvp build libs. Actually, I could create a dedicated script for that, but yeah, that's the syntax that I'm using currently. So we could just request to build Qt, and then as you see here, we have, for instance, this C. Oh no, not here. Sorry. C command line to specify the compiler that we want to use. By default, it's going to be MSVC, but we can try to compile with CLang this way. We can also specify rebuild. In this case, it's not going to use that package, even if it's already available. It's going to rebuild from the sources. Then we have the keep build. Yeah, so -key. That's just to prevent removing the complete build folder once the build is completed. So this can be useful for debugging and investigation to check what is missing, what was going wrong. Oh, keep the install folder if it exists. Okay, I think those two, when I added the second one, I was not thinking about the existing first one anymore. So yeah, basically you can decide to extract the source folder only once and then try to reuse that one. This is also useful to do experiment when you try to do patching of the files, for instance. And yeah, I think that's basically all there is to mention concerning this build system. Again, video is longer than what I was expecting. Sorry about that. But yeah, as I said, hopefully this could be useful to someone if you want to build Qt6 on Windows with MSVC and you want also to have the support for the web engine part. So yeah, just let me know if you have any question in the comments or anything like that. And yeah, see you another time then. Bye bye.